All right, so now let's start matrices. So a matrix is a way to organize a system of equations. And a system of equations is, back to this right here, because I want you to understand. So a system of equations is like this, more than one equation. And so we use a matrix to organize it a little better. You can solve equations, a system of equations using matrices, using matrix. And so it's, easier on one hand to do different stuff with matrices versus, higher maths, you'll get 3 or 4 or 5 system, but 3 or 4 or 5 equations in your system. And so a matrix is a little more effective way to go. And so I'm going to show you how to do that. First, I want to show you how to turn a system into an augmented matrix and take an augmented matrix and turn it into a system. What makes it an augmented matrix is this line right here. The very last row is the line is the equal sign, and the very last row is what it equals. So for example, this guy over here, and it goes in ABC order, would be 1x plus 2y minus 5z equals negative 19. Would be that top row. And the second one would be 0x, so I'm going to leave it off. 1y plus 3z equals 9. And then I'm going to leave the x and the y off. And then we have z equals 4. And so this system right there is that matrix. So they're the same thing. They share the same information. And so let's turn this system into a matrix. So we put brackets, put a line right here, and let's write 31, 19, 25. Those are the equal sign stuff. And then we'll write the coefficients of the variables. So for example, 3, 1, 2, then 31, then 1, 1, 2, then 19, then 1, 3, 2, and 25. And so that's the augmented matrix for that system. All right, so matrices, you could have, just two equations in your systems, and then you would just have the 2 right there for your matrix. And so matrices comes in all shapes and sizes. Brings us to this right here. And so you'll have, matrix A or matrix B or matrix C or whatever, and then you'll have some numbers like, like 3, 4. And so this means, or like 3, 2. The very first thing is rows, and then the second number is columns. And then the order, it's kind of like the size, is also rows by column. So it's not ABC order, it's row by column. Row by column. Row by column. And I always get it confused, so I wanted to write it down. Row by column. Okay. All right, so let's look at this guy. And the order, okay, so the order is like the size. And so we're going to do row by column. And so there are 2 rows by 3 columns. And so that's the order. And so now let's look at A23 versus A12. All right, A23 means the second row, third column. So this guy. So that is -1/5. And then A12 means first row, second column. So that's number 2. What about A32? Let's look at that. That would be the third row, second column. There's nothing there. It doesn't exist. What about A21? That would be second row, first element. So that would be -4. All right, so it's always row by column. All right, we did this guy. All right, and so what we do is we do operations on matrix, because we want to solve them. There's 3 or 4 kind of main ways to solve them. Excuse me, I'm going to show you just one, not in this video, a different video. But I'm going to show you kind of how to do different operations in them. And so one of the things you can do is interchange rows. You can multiply a row by a number, or you can like multiply a row and add or subtract by another row. And so that's what we're going to do here. So this means change row 1 and row 2. And so we would write 1, 2, -3, 5. Where row 2 is, it becomes 1, and 1 becomes 2. And then we would do 3, 18, -12, 21, and then leave row 3 alone. Oops, 2, 3. It would help if I could straight. All right, B. We're going to take row 1 and multiply by 1/3. So 3 times 1/3 is 1. 18 times 1/3 is 6. -12 times 1/3 is -4. 21 times 1/3 is -7. Right, now let's do C. We're going to take row 2, multiply by 2. So 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times -3 is -6. 2 times 5 is 10. We're going to take that and add it to row 3. All right, 2 plus -2 is 0. 4 plus -3 is 1. -6 and 4 is -2. 10 and -6 is 4. And so that's what our answer would be for 2 times row 2 plus row 3. Well, let's do some more like that because that can be kind of confusing. All right, now we're going to do the same thing, except what I want to do is replace. So like, I want to interchange row 1 and 2 and rewrite like the matrix. You may maybe my thing a little small. All right, so I'm going to write 1, 6, -3, 7, 4, 12, -8, -3, -2. All right, so I just interchanged 1 and 2. I just flipped them. And then for B, I'm going to do row 1 times a 4th, and I'm just going to replace it with row 1. So 1/4 times 4 is 1. 12 times 1/4 is 3. -20 times 1/4 is -5. 8 times a 4th is 2. And then I'll leave everything else where it belongs. All right, and then I'm going to take 3 times row 2 plus row 3. I'm going to replace it with row 3. But first I need to do 3 times row 2. And that is 3 times row 2. So 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times -3 is -9. 3 times 7 is 21. I need to add that to row 3, which is -3, -2, oops, 1, -9. Okay, and then I'm going to leave everything else alone. And then I'm going to replace whatever I get right here. And I'm going to put that in row 3. 3 plus -3 is 0. 18 plus -2 is 16. -9 plus 1 is -8. 21 plus -9. 21 minus 9 is 12. Right, so this is my answer right here. This guy right there. Right, so those are just row operations. All right, so go do some practice with some matrices, and then I'll see you in the next video.